now. Miss Lara.
Hey.
So what kind of music did you listen to when you were younger? What can you remember?
I can remember sitting in the car with my dad, like, listening to Meatloaf a lot.
A lot of people
And
said
Queen.
that.
Like Queen, I listened to a lot of Queen. And a lot of opera,
Yeah.
for some reason. And like, you were like, how little are we talking?
From 5 to 13. So it's
5 to
kind
13.
of, it's like kind of a build up.
When I was like 5, obviously it was kind of what my parents would make me listen to, or like the weird tweenies or
Yeah.
Teletubbies or whatever.
Yeah.
As I got older, it was more because my dad, we'd listen to Meatloaf in the back of the car. It kind of then was like, oh, this is them, and then like we obviously knew who Queen were, and then we kind of like branched out and looked at different. Like we didn't sit down and do it obviously, but like you'd kind of be like, oh, they're cool.
Yeah.
They sound like them, and then you'd listen to them, and then they sound like them, so you listen to them, and it kind of developed. But like when I started going to school, I didn't really. The only music that I did listen to, or was interested at all in, was my classical and opera and stuff.
Yeah.
However, I really did go through a stage of liking Eminem quite a lot,
I think everybody did.
which was, yes, and I quite enjoyed Natasha Bedingfield. Oh my god.
Like the opera stuff and the classical stuff, where did that come from?
Well, my dad's been in the army since he was 16, and he plays trombone in the army, and he always goes on tour with the armies and does like musical tours with them. And my mum's in a choir as well. My mum sings, and when my mum was actually pregnant with me, she used to play Mozart through headphones onto her belly. Hence why I'm all like, oh, now. But like, I think it was just because I grew up with my parents, and like my dad's obviously always been playing trombone since he was 16, so he's been playing it for about 40 odd years now. He was obviously practicing all the time. My mum was doing shows that were classical pieces of music, and they were practicing and rehearsing, and then like I just sort of grew up with it. But not only that, obviously when I started singing when I was 4, it was kind of discovered, as it were, that I could sing opera and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I think from there, it was kind of like, she can do it, she's going to listen to it to make her better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I still listen to everything under the sun anyway.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Like the whole, so you would say that a lot of, like, especially the classical and all of like the more rock and roll stuff was from your parents.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot. When I was at school and I was doing music, my friends hated me when I was singing opera. They didn't want anything to do with me. When they found out that I could sing opera, they didn't want to be my friends anymore. That's how pathetic it was. And then, like, people, like my parents, they were all like, do it. And you're like, well, I want to, but like, no one was friends with me at school because I sang opera, because that's how narrow-minded people were.
Oh,
But
are
I
you
still did
talking
it.
secondary or primary?
Primary.
Really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. It was, and secondary as well. It was like, yeah, it was proper.
When do you think you kind of like started discovering a taste for music? Like you go, I'm going to listen to that because I enjoy it.
Me and Leo had this conversation yesterday. I think it's when you like, because all through school you grow up with people that you're just going to be so heavily influenced by because you're young at school. Everyone's young. You just get influenced by everything, and then as soon as you leave school and you've got that gap of 6 months from school to going into college, that transition, you suddenly end up going out a lot more, hanging out with a lot of people, and not only you discover what other people are like, you discover more in yourself. And those 6 months between leaving school and ending up going to college eventually, if you don't get a job, you're doing nothing. If you're lucky enough to got a job, then that's good.
Yeah.
But like I just said, you learn more about yourself and you learn what people are like, and then from there, because you're learning more about yourself, you kind of, everything just changes.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't change in a bad way. It just, you discover yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I mean, me and Leo were talking yesterday about how, like, sometimes I dress like a hippie and sometimes I dress like a metalhead and sometimes I just do whatever. And he said, like, in the morning, do you have the idea that you're going to go and meet all your hippie friends, so you specifically dress like a hippie? And I was like, no, I'll wake up in the morning and wear what I like. And then he was like, well, when you're dressed like a hippie as well, do you listen to certain music? And I was like, no. Half the time when I'm in my big hippie trousers, I'm listening to, like, Parkway Drive or something, like, walking down my road. But I think a lot of people, like, young people, are so heavily influenced nowadays by absolutely everything, clothing, like, looking at other people, like, you know, like, especially music influences people so much. But I think when I listen to so many different types of music, like, I listen to opera, I listen to classical, I listen to Les Mis, I listen to, like, show music, like, metal, hardcore, you know, like, reggae, dubstep, psytrance.
And then, like, all the indie stuff.
Yeah, all the indie stuff.
You
you can't... I've always been like that, though, and I don't really think that people should be stereotyped into, you're a skater, you're going to listen to hip-hop, you're a hippie, you're going to listen to, like, reggae and, like, 60s music, because that's wrong. Why should it be like that? Why should...
I think a lot of it's changed recently. Like, a lot of people keep behind closed doors about what else they listen to, and then a certain crowd only listens to certain types of music. But then again, that's the nature of cliques and all that kind of stuff. So do you think, like, all the music that your parents influenced you with helped you, like, become who you are? Like, especially with, like, it sounds like with the classical, definitely, and with all of the metal or the kind of rock stuff that you listen to today is
definitely
a branch out from...
Definitely, like, I think... Obviously, my parents have heavily influenced me with the opera and classical side of things. But I also think that, like, every time we get in the car, me and my little sister would be sitting in the back of the car wailing our heads off because we'd be listening to Bat Out of Hell with my dad. And I think we were like, 7, 8, and we'd love it. Like, we'd absolutely love it, and we'd know all the words. But I think, like, as you grow up, obviously, you look back and you think, who was that band that we listened to, like, in the car with you, Dad? And then they'd be like, oh, Meatloaf. And then you'd, like, YouTube it. Then you'd be like, oh, they sound like this. And like I said before, it's like the evolution of what you listen to. And then, like, because I went from listening to, like, stuff like Meatloaf to going to school and then listening to, like, chart stuff. To then suddenly ending up listening to Bring Me the Horizon because my friend Leah Thomas was listening to it. To then going from listening to, like, Bring Me the Horizon to proper hardcore, like, TRC, like, stuff like that. To then going from Fleetwood Mac. My mum's always loved Fleetwood Mac as well. She's got the massive EPs of them at home. And, like, we'd put them on my dad's record player, and, like, I'd love Fleetwood Mac, and then, like, I'd listen to other stuff that sounded like Fleetwood Mac and, like, the indie stuff, and it does, it just kind of evolves, but it's not... I think because everyone's so different, everyone has their own taste in music, so, like, people shouldn't be, like, attached with the image, you're a hippie, you're going to be listening to dubstep and psytrance and rave and reggae, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. What about, you said you listened to chart and all that lot. I mean, I think most people did radios, you know, all that kind of stuff. I know my mum got sucked into it, therefore I did. But do you think that as well has still, because it was there when you were younger, now you still listen to the chart, you still listen to
I
pop?
think...
Maybe not as much, but it's still there.
I think everyone, like, no matter what your parents do when you're little, you're always going to be influenced by them. However, there are certain traits within the music that I listen to that my parents wouldn't even consider music, like all the screamy stuff that I listen to.
I think that's just how it's evolved into our generation.
Yeah, definitely.
But you're still... Like, I bet their parents were just like, oh, we were listening to blues, and blues was
amazing,
rock and roll, and that it's evolved into that, and then that's what was at the time, and now they're kind of rock of like Meatloaf and Queen and all that lot is now today's Bring Me the Horizon and Parkway Drive and all that lot. It's just evolved. Like even going on to like really like slash metal and all that lot, it's still a branch off from it.
And I completely agree with you. I think, like when my mum and dad were little, they were listening to Beatles all the time, like because that's what my parents grew up with. They grew up with the Beatles. Like I grew up with like S Club 7 and Steps and Busted and McFly and bands like that. And
so it's still like the poppy,
but like now it's completely different.
Yeah.
But I think then again you've got bands that are like the boy bands and stuff, like the boy bands of today, like One Direction and stuff. They are purely aimed at the younger people because, I mean, yeah, you get the odd older person that likes One Direction, but I wouldn't personally pick and choose to listen to One Direction.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but then again, like, it's one of those things, like, I mean, their parents probably listen to Boyzone, Westlife. Now the boy band's coming back with JLS and all that lot, so they're used to it, but then again, that's chart and that's pop. So their parents probably listen to a lot of that. So do you think it's kind of defined who you are today, like helped you find who you are, like all the influences when you were younger? I mean, like if you don't go off influences of your parents, like was there any other influences you think you had? Like,
yeah, definitely school friends. It was horrible at school if you didn't listen to a certain band or a certain rapper, like you were considered to be like ridiculous and out of the crowd, and no one wanted to know you because you didn't listen to a certain artist. And it shouldn't be about that, because back then when I was at school it used to be people who listened to the most popular artists were the most popular people. Nowadays it's people who listen to people that are unknown are suddenly the most popular people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But then again, I think that's when you get older. I think a lot of kids, like primary school, it's still chart. That's the only thing. That's one of the main.
That's the only thing that kind of appeals to that generation of.
It's easy listening though. That's probably why.
And I don't think that a lot of children are going to branch out and like be all like, yeah, Parkway Drive at like 6. No, it's just
no, exactly. But then again, later on in life, they might, because their parents might have listened to. Well,
AC/DC.
Exactly.
Motorhead. Like, yeah.
Slayer. But it's like all that kind of stuff. Right, well, do you think it's defined you, like helped you who you are?
I think without music, like singing's the only thing that I can do. Like, you know, like
can't do maths, singing will do.
It really is. But singing is the only thing that I can do, and if I didn't have singing, then I wouldn't really have anything. But I think music is and will always be my life, whether it's defined me or not.
No, I don't mean define you. I mean like kind of helped you become who you are today. Like,
it's definitely made me discover more and appreciate a lot more, because quite a lot of people, when they only listen to like one certain genre of music, they're all like, this is the best, and they don't branch out, they don't open their minds. They can be extremely narrow-minded because they like it. This is what they like. It should be what everyone else likes, you know. And I think because I listen to so many different types of music, I've become so much more open-minded, and as long as people are happy, I couldn't care. Like, do you know? Like,
I mean, like, as in, like, obviously it's there in your style. Your parents used to listen to rock, now you listen to rock, and all that kind of stuff. It's there in your style. I mean, I'm pretty sure your parents listen to, like, easily listening stuff. Like, you do, like, whole reggae thing. I'm sorry. No, you're not. And, yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that.
cool.